These forces of hate exist in every country. They're a minority of Americans, but they're still there. And to get into this race, I looked at why I should be running. And one of the reasons I concluded was after you saw those folks coming out of the fields down in Charlottesville, chanting hate, their veins bulging, literally bulging, and anger and hate, accompanied by white supremacists and the Ku Klux Klan. I wrote a piece for Atlantic Magazine that said, we're in a battle for the soul of America. And folks, we are. I know you all in your gut what GK said. This election is different than any you participated in, no matter how old or young you are. It isn't just policies or agendas that are at stake. It's the soul of this country, the character of our people. No, it really is. The entire idea of America is on the line with this president. And folks, the words of a president matter. They can send brave women and men to war. They can end wars. They can't help us heal. But they can also unleash and awaken the worst impulses among the minority of Americans. That's what happened after Charlottesville. That's where we are today. When the president asked to comment on what happened, he said there were very fine people on both sides. No president, no, it's not hyperbole, no president since Andrew Johnson, and not even him, engaged in that kind of racial and bigotry and hate. His words matter in smaller moments as well. Folks, think about it. Just 4 days ago, a president of the United States went on Twitter and referred to the members of his own parties, Republicans who didn't blindly support him, calling them, quote, human scum. Words out of a president's mouth. I'm even hesitant to repeat them with some of the young people that are here. That's what he called Republicans. History has shown that time and again, this dehumanizing language leads us down a path of unimaginable darkness. You know, that was the original sin of slavery. And it was true in the century-long campaign of violence, fear, trauma that wrought upon black people in this country. And it is true of the quieter campaigns of bigotry, the subtle, unspoken injustices and opportunities denied, and futures diminished, and institutional racism that still pollutes our nation today. We are still in the battle for the soul of America, and this president is doing nothing but making it worse. He's only going to get, and here's the deal, this is what worries me. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. He's only going to get more erratic and more desperate as the walls of accountability close in on him. He's feeling the pressure as his crimes become exposed. He's feeling the pressure of an economy teetering on recession. Look, he inherited a pretty good economy from Barack and me. By the way, just like he inherited everything in his life. And now he's in the process of squandering it, just like he squandered everything in his life. Look, this country can overcome 4 years, but I believe if we give him 8, he's going to forever and fundamentally change the fundamental and alter the character of this nation. Look, in both clear language and code, this president has fanned the flames of white supremacy, flat out. And here's the deal. Our children are listening, and our silence is complicity. You know, Barack, I say Barack because I don't want to confuse him with this president when I say president. Barack Obama was a president our children could and did look up to. How many of you, not a joke, how many of you parents and grandparents, when President Trump is on, literally sometimes get up and turn off the television so your children can't hear it? And it's not about policy. Did you ever think you'd be in a circumstance where you'd do that? President Trump is a danger for this generation and generations of Americans. Folks, look, we're also in a situation where this president is trafficking in some of the ugliest forces that have long run through this nation's history. But this can't just be about campaign about how to beat Donald Trump. This has to be a movement. It has to be a movement. A movement grounded in our values and ideals that defined us as the nation in the first place. It has to be a movement that stands up for who we are and what we believe, because the rest of the world is wondering who we are now. We have an obligation to do more than just win. We have to repair the American moral fabric that Trump is shredding every single day. We have to be the Americans that once again values honesty, decency, treating everyone with respect, giving everyone a fair shot, leaving nobody behind, giving hate no safe harbor, not demonizing anyone, the poor, the powerless, the immigrant, the other. Look, leading by the power of our example, not just the example of our power. Standing as a beacon for the world. Look, we have to, remembering who we are, that there's things bigger than any one of us as individuals. We have to bring those values to bear not only to restore the soul of America, but restore the backbone of America. The backbone of America is made up of working class families, middle class families. In North Carolina, no, it really is. Look, this country wasn't built by Wall Street. This country wasn't built by investment bankers. This country was built by ordinary people having been given a half a chance to do extraordinary, extraordinary things. My dad used to have an expression. He said, Joey, a job is about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. No, for real, it's my dad. If you listen to Barack, you'd think when we left Scranton, Pennsylvania, because no work, you'd think I climbed out of a coal mine carrying a lunch bucket, scrappy Joe Biden. But with my dad, when we moved down to a little steel town called Claymont, Delaware, every time someone loses a job, he'd drill into us. It's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. Rebuilding the middle class is the moral obligation of our time, in my view. And we have to do it this time that reflects our values. When we rebuild the middle class this time, everybody comes along. No matter their race, their gender, their ethnicity, who they love, where they live, whether or not they have a disability. We have to restore the fundamental dignity of middle class. How can a person hold on to their dignity when they turn and look at their child who's lying in bed with a terminal illness and wonder, and they have no insurance? How in God's name can you not think about it? How can you look at your child who has a pre-existing condition and know you can't possibly afford to provide the help? Or how can you look at a child who has an opportunity to go beyond high school, but you can't figure out any way how you're going to afford to get them there? Whether it's trade school, community college, or college. You get stripped of your dignity as a parent. Look, and how can a community maintain its dignity when their schools are substandard because they're not investing in them? When your house is undervalued? When the poverty rate for black Americans is twice that of white Americans? And why? Why? When we rebuild our middle class, we have to stand for the rooting out a system of institutional racism that's in our policies, our institutions, and some hearts. Look, and it's within our power to do all this. We need to end the legacy of systematic racism in our neighborhoods, in our housing patterns, in our employment, access to transportation. When I talk about rebuilding the middle class, I'm not talking about a number. Middle class, I have a lot of economists that work for me, and they're first-rate economists. And you'll say middle class, and they'll say, oh, that's 51,800 or 52,000. No, it's a value set. It's about being able to send your kid to a park and know they're going to come home safely. It's about being able to send, really think about what it is. It's about being able. It's about being able to be in a situation where you can send your kid to a local public school and know if they do well, they'll have a chance to go beyond that school. It's about being able to take home your mom when your geriatric dad passes away and hope your children never have to take care of you, never have to be a burden to you. That's middle class. Just a little bit of breathing room. A little bit of breathing room. But the middle class is getting killed. Right now, the view is, if the studies show that the average person got a bill for $400 in 1 month they didn't expect, they couldn't pay it. They'd have to borrow the money or sell something. How many people sat at their kitchen table today before or after church and said, I'm sorry, honey, we can't get that new set of tires. You got to drive another 10,000 miles on them. We don't have the money right now. You know, 9 years ago, we fought like the devil and passed Obamacare. GK talked about it, so I'm not going to take the time to go into the detail, but look, health care is not a luxury assigned to people who just have money. I can remember my dad when he lost health care. We lived in a 3-bedroom home with 4 kids and a grandpop living with us. And I can remember being restless. Our room, my 2 brothers and I lived in one room right next to my parents' room. My dad was really restless. I asked my mom the next morning, what's wrong? He said, honey, he's worried. We lost our health insurance. Health insurance is as much about peace of mind as it is your health. So, folks, there's an easy way to do this. And I'm not going to go into detail because it's getting hot and you're standing. But I build on Obamacare. I provide for a public option, a Medicare-like option that anybody, if they don't have the money, they're automatically enrolled in it. I reduce the cost of enrolling in Obamacare so that you'll never have a deductible more than $1,000. I make sure that we reduce health care prices, our drug prices significantly. We can do it all for 1/50th of what Medicare for All will do. We're not going to have to wait 4 years or 8 years or whatever the number of years or have some kind of pattern. We can do it now, immediately, on the job now. I'll talk to you. I'm not opposed to people making money. But let me tell you, as I tell every wealthy person in my state and every place I go, y'all don't need a tax cut, man. You didn't need the one you got. You were doing just fine. Corporations didn't need that tax cut. We didn't have to reduce capital gains to 20%. Guess what? If I'm your president, I'm raising your taxes if you're super wealthy. Because look, folks, everybody had to pay their fair share. Let's put the money toward ambitious plans to rebuild America, focusing on the future. Cleaner, renewable energy, cleaner, safer, faster infrastructure, safer, more affordable housing will not only help confront the existential threat of climate change, but provide millions of good-paying jobs. For real, it will grab over 10 million good-paying jobs. Not $15 an hour, but $45 an hour. So, folks, look, it will mean people in every community can live in a neighborhood free from poison in the water and the air, in their homes, to get all of that done and unify the country. Look, let me conclude by saying this. There's a lot I didn't talk about in terms of education and how we fund it, but you can go on joebiden.com before you collapse on this hard floor. But here's the deal. Folks, when I got elected as a 29-year-old kid, I'm the first United States Senator I ever knew. You all think I'm kidding. I got elected before I was eligible to be sworn in, for real. I had to wait 17 days to get to be a United States, to be sworn in. And here's the deal. They always wrote about me as the young, idealistic guy, this guy who was optimistic, etc. I have never been more optimistic about America's chances to own the 21st century today. And let me tell you why, not hyperbole. We get this guy out of the way. We have the most productive workers in the world, 3 times as productive as workers in Asia. We're in a situation where, right now, we have more great research universities in the United States of America, in the state of North Carolina, than all the rest of the world combined. And every single solitary life-changing thing has come out of a research university. That's where it's come from. You own them. You own them. Businesses monetize them, which is a good thing, but you own them. Folks, we don't have the greatest, most powerful military in the history of the world. We've led by example, and we're losing that. That's why the rest of the world has followed us. In addition to that, folks, we are in a situation where we're not only the wealthiest country in the world, we remain the most powerful country in the world, monetarily and physically. Here's the deal. Everybody talks about Biden says that China, if we do what we have to do, China's not a problem. Look, China's in real trouble, man. I spent a lot of time with Xi Jinping. I spent more time with them than any world leader before I left. We were out in a big town, 22 million people, called Chengdu on the Tibetan plateau. I have one person whispering in my ear, simultaneously translating, and he has one person whispering in his ear as we're talking to one another over dinner. And by the way, my guy took notes and handed them in, by the way. Okay? But here's the deal. I'll end with this. He looked at me and he said, "Can you define America for me?" I said, "Yes, I can." I meant it. One word. Define America in one word. Possibilities. That's who we are. Once we've set our mind to something, we have never failed to do it. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody had to learn when they were a kid, and even now, John Kennedy's speech about going to the moon. The line I use so often, my colleagues got tired of hearing in the Senate, when he answered the unasked question, he said, "We're doing this because we refuse to postpone." I refuse to postpone another minute making America what it needs to be, can be, and will be if we pick our heads up and remember, this is the United States of America. There's not a single thing we cannot do if we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.